Daily morning show where we talk about the latest topics in entertainment. I'm Brittany Jones-Cooper.
I'm Shannon Coffey.
I'm Allie Colbert.
And I'm Lucas Tim. Hi, everyone.
Hi, guys.
Just figuring out what
Today we're going to talk about Pete Davidson's first post-breakup appearance, a special announcement from The Daily Show's Trevor Noah, the hilarious tweets from Leslie Jones about fish love, and what actor Chris Hemsworth and a lucky hitchhiker have in common. Plus, New York Times bestselling author Kwame Alexander joins the table to discuss his new book, Swing. But first, I want to point out on the table we have some lovely treats from the Meatball Shop. If you guys haven't visited, it's one of my favorite places to eat in New York. And they brought us some great treats. We have salmon balls over kale salad, classic meatballs, and then those are lobster balls. And they're all balls. They're all great.
all balls.
And classic, and the classic meatball.
I do love, my favorite thing to get there is like the classic meatball over the polenta.
Oh,
have you guys ever had that?
That's very
Is that
good.
what this is?
No, but the polenta goes
The
underneath
polenta,
meatballs, but it's my
polenta
favorite.
is very. If you should, guys, polenta's really good. I had a bias against it for a while, but then once I had it,
Why did you have a bias against
cause I feel like it sounds disgusting, polenta, but it's not. It's really good. And also,
like creamy and delicious.
and our audience got meatballs too, so that Meatball Shop, you're killing it. You're killing it here.
You're killing it. We love you so much.
This is so good. I could just fill this mug with meatballs and just throw them back and just be like, go, 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 go.
Like, there's nothing more
good.
that I want at 11 a.m. than meatballs.
But
No,
really,
that is the ideal breakfast.
This is the first thing I've eaten today, which is why I'm just gonna go.
As we are enjoying our meatballs, I have a good first course to serve up.
Okay.
Amy Schumer, the Schooms, is pregnant.
Yay!
She announced it in an interesting way. On her Instagram, she was directing people to go to
Jessica Yellen.
Jessica Yellen's page, who is announcing the deadlines for voting to register to vote.
Yeah, Jessica Yellen she's worked in media. She's a former White House correspondent, so she's really ingrained in all the political stuff happening. So it was a cool way to announce her pregnancy, but also remind people that they need to get out and
Yeah, it was
register
New
and
York,
vote.
November, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
and then Amy Schumer pregnant. It was kind of funny the way she did it. And everyone seems to be doing this interesting clickbait to get people to register to vote.
Right.
Elle magazine tweeted out yesterday or 2 days ago being Kim and Kanye broke up.
Right.
And a link to the article, and then the link was to register to vote.
Yeah, and they apologized for that, but I was like,
They did?
"Oh, yeah." They were like, we thought it was just a funny joke. We didn't
was
mean
funny.
to mislead. Some people
Yeah.
felt misled.
That's
I'm like,
true.
it was such a creative way to get people to register to vote.
Yeah, and it actually they weren't the first people to do that. That had been going on for a couple of weeks where it was Kim divorced Kanye. So I feel like they were just getting in on the joke.
Yeah.
So it's following a meme. So for them to apologize, I'm like, it's not your fault. You didn't come up with it.
Also, just leading you to register to vote. How could you be upset because that's stupid.
I know.
Anyway, but also Amy Schumer was being really funny about this because she said some quote I look forward to competing with Meghan Markle every step of the way. She's just because they're both now pregnant at the same time.
And she already had a funny post about that this morning. She, on her Instagram story, was puking on her toilet.
Nice.
And was like, and Megan is in Fiji. So she's
love
definitely gonna probably be hilarious and also overshare.
Probably overshare. But again, I love that Amy, it seems that her political leanings are true.
Yes.
Every opportunity she has to encourage people to vote, she's taking, which I think is really cool. It's very authentic.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
We're only a few more weeks left.
Yeah.
This is it.
I'm gonna eat my feelings.
Exactly. Eat your
We're all
meatballs.
stress eating balls. Well, in other news, Pete Davidson is on the search for a roomie. The SNL star broke his silence about how his now called off engagement with singer Ariana Grande is going. And he did it at a comedy show he co-hosted with director Judd Apatow. Davidson poked fun about his new living arrangements, asking the audience if anyone had any open rooms.
This is just so humiliating. We all were like, this is gonna happen, this is gonna happen, this is gonna happen. He was like, no, 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 and then it happened. That's horrible. It's
Were
so
we all like that, or was I like that? And you were...
No, we knew. It was just a matter of time. I'm surprised, but I still, this is just humiliating. Now he's covering up all the tattoos, and he made some joke. He was like, I can't even get my mom's name tattooed on me because she'll leave me.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was a joke saying that she would die.
No.
I didn't
Yeah,
leave.
because your mom can't really leave you.
Right, that's the
Well,
joke.
Yeah.
But I
That's
actually.
what means that she would die.
Oh, I thought he meant, I think he meant like break up with
Yeah, like break up with him.
Oh.
I was actually
Or die.
surprised
Or die.
how relatively stable he sounded and not like manic or incredibly depressed. And I feel like after a breakup would not be able to perform a 45-minute comedy set, but I'm also not a professional stand-up comedian. But he was self-deprecating, making jokes, and like relatively like, you know, lucid. And I thought like, okay, he clearly is dealing with it okay, or maybe he feels like that they'll get back together, so he might as well be on his best behavior. So I don't know, but this was also a benefit for Swing Left, so another political thing comedians are doing. But yeah, I was actually more surprised in a good way that he was so like together.
Yeah.
I'm with you in that I think he's being on his best behavior because he's trying to get his girl back. If you went out and blasted her or said like, I broke up with her, or said something really inflammatory, that door would be closed. But in a couple articles I've read, the insiders or friends of the couple say that, oh, we think they could get back together. Like this is a real possibility.
Yeah,
So,
they probably will get back together for a little bit.
yeah, back and forth is so common when you break up. It's
Yeah.
hard to just end it. But again, they weren't together for very long.
Right. Yeah,
But then-
I don't know.
then
I
again,
would want to see, I would be curious to see, like, what would his public meltdown be? Because he gets so, like, he's...
I don't know. I mean, I feel like public meltdowns are always surprising and it makes them great. It's like you can't predict what it's gonna be just because it's like comes out of nowhere and it's so horrible.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
But
I would hope that his public meltdown would be him getting just like really clean cut and lasering off all of his tattoos and just being really basic all of a sudden. I think that'd be a really fun twist.
That's
That
the
would
reverse
be-
meltdown.
That would
Yeah.
be so interesting.
that would be interesting.
But-
I don't know. I just feel bad. We were talking about this earlier. She's just had a tough year, and I think there's so many things going on. Mac Miller passing away, I think, really probably triggered a lot of stuff for her. So
Yeah.
I think their relationship, I'm happy that it's being put on the back burner. There's like obviously things that each of them need to deal with
Yeah,
separately.
definitely.
Yeah.
He's looking for a roommate. Does anyone have a spare room?
Technically, I do, but I don't know if I can handle Pete
Oh,
Davidson
should he
right
move
now.
in with you?
Yeah.
He can move with me and my grandparents. I mean, like, we can invite him in, I guess. Very strict dinner schedules. But yeah, roommate stuff. The last time I had a real roommate was our executive producer Max in Florence.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Ugh.
Wait, really? You didn't live, you were,
No, it
lived
was
alone
so horrible.
after that?
I had singles all the time at NYU, and that was the first time I had a roommate in college, and that was paired purely through the NYU.
First time? What about as a freshman?
I had a single in Weinstein, which was
Wow.
You had a single as a
yeah.
freshman?
But
Who did you pay?
My RA though was my suite mate, so that wasn't really that fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
And as a sophomore, you got all singles.
singles and went abroad my sophomore spring, and was roommated
You
with Max.
paid someone for that.
No, I just slept with someone. No, I'm classy. I don't use money.
That
It's
is
my
insane.
sexuality.
You lucked out and got
Yeah.
singles
I lucked
every
out.
time.
I don't know. It was ruined me. But then I got Max, and he was great. He would get me pizza slices when I needed it.
Oh, you lucked out. I had the worst
You never bring us
roommates.
pizza slices, Max.
Yeah.
I had a roommate in New York City. I've been here for 9 years, and for the first 6 years here, I had one roommate. And it's funny, like my perfect roommate is somebody who I never become friends with, and we don't really talk that much.
Yep.
So Lindsay and we're good buddies, but we just like never hung out. But we lived in peace for 6 years, and it was like the best.
Oh my
Wow.
gosh, Lindsay.
Yeah, Lindsay. Hi, Lindsay.
How'd you meet her?
Through like we both came here to mentor in this program, so we met through that program.
Wow.
Yeah, City Year. Shout out to City Year. But yeah, so I think that's the best roommate situation is like if you can't, I can't live with a best friend. I don't think.
So then when you decided to live alone, was that like a hard conversation or was she like, get it, got it?
No,
cool?
she was like, good for you. Like we had been taught, I was like, I've been saving money. Like she knew it was coming and it was really easy. We had an amazing apartment in Harlem. So it was super easy for her to find a roommate.
Wow.
That's so lucky because I actually like had a roommate recently,
ready.
not too
I'm
long
ready for
ago,
Shannon's story.
where she was so upset, and I had to move only because I had to relocate out of state for a job, and she tried to keep my deposit. She was like, "I thought we were gonna be friends," and I was like, "That's not what a deposit is for. Never like friendship." I had to explain that. She got so wild, and she was like. She was not a fun roommate at all. Like, she would tell me, Shannon, could you please lower your TV? And I was like, no, this is the only thing to keep me from hearing your sobbing. She would cry constantly, even though she had like a really great life.
Oh yeah, I think you told me that.
Yeah.
She had a great boyfriend and everything, right?
Yeah, she had a boyfriend who was like 10 times hotter than her. She had all these like amazing business opportunities, and she was always ungrateful. Like, I'd hear her on the phone being like, I hope grandma dies. Oh my gosh. And then she was just like kind of scary. And when I was like moving out, she was like, I hate how I hear you and your friends laughing all the time. And I was like, why were you listening to all my conversations?
Like, silence your joy.
Yeah, I think actually she's watching right now and I'm in trouble.
How did you meet her? Was it a random or?
I met her through, she was like a friend of a friend, and they had known each other for decades, so I was like, oh, this will be fine, and it wasn't fine.
Yeah.
Wow.
She would also always cook, like right after I'd clean everything, because I was the only person who cleaned, she would cook spaghetti and pasta and throw it all over the kitchen, and she would clog the sink with like meatballs and spaghetti, and I was like, this is like not cute.
That's such a weird
It's
thing
a weird
to do.
thing, yeah.
That is really scary, and it also reminds me of something that happened to me. Is that I, at NYU, was living with a girl who threatened to kill me.
That happened to me too.
So I had to move out. She was crazy. And then I moved in with a new suite of people, and they woke me up one night in the middle of the night and said that I clogged the sink with toilet paper.
Oh my.
Why would I do that? I didn't do
I
that.
don't know.
But they yelled at me and they screamed at me. And I was like, I did not do this. Can I just have one sane roommate? Leave me alone. Leave Brittany alone.
That's crazy.
I know.
There's so many weird people you can live with,
There's
even
so
at
many weird
NYU.
people.
What dorm was that?
That was at the dorm in Union Square.
Okay.
What was it called?
U-Haul? No.
No,
Oh, yeah,
well,
whatever.
okay.
But anyway,
That's why I live
inside
alone.
baseball. But that is so crazy. Those roommates always horrify me. All my friends have these like, either like when their roommate comes home one day, oh, by the way, I'm moving out and I found another place to live. And
Yeah.
they're like what are you gonna do now?
And in New York City, that's a huge
Yes.
thing because rent you usually cannot afford on your own. So like for somebody to ditch out last minute is like
That's a
a
problem.
lot.
Yeah.
It's so.
I could go on and on about horror stories. We should have like a horrible roommate day. Anyways,
All right.
Daily Show host Trevor Noah has just announced a new Netflix stand-up special, Sons of Patricia, where he will discuss racism, immigration, camping, and many other topics. The special will be released on November 20th, following the success of his first piece for the network, Afraid of the Dark, which premiered last year. Trevor Noah, what do you guys think of him?
I like him. I honestly haven't seen I don't watch The Daily Show regularly, but I'm interested in his story. Like I remember watching the documentary he released called "You Laugh But It's True" about his story growing up in South Africa as a biracial kid and like going back to the like place where he grew up. I mean, he's really come from nothing, so I love to see him succeeding.
I am literally blown away by Trevor Noah. 2 years ago, I was in South Africa and I visited the Soweto township where he
Yeah.
was born and grew up. And you go through that neighborhood and it is just like shanty town with
nothing.
like, you know, houses that are like dilapidated, that have like 20 people living in the space of like, you know, a small studio
Yeah.
anywhere in I can't believe this like megastar from like who would walk down the street and be noticed now grew up in a place that is like it's struggling in the way that village.
I mean, they don't have plumbing. A lot of it has spotty electricity. I've seen those same townships.
I
It's a tough place.
can't believe it. It's like his story is so inspiring. It's so incredible. He has a book about it that's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm forgetting the name.
Born
of
a
it.
Crime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like it's his story is really fascinating.
Yeah. So yeah, good for him. I'd love to see him succeed. Have you guys seen his stand-ups?
Yeah, I've seen some of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's really funny. I think he's really great. I weirded him out in an elevator once, and you know, he
Please
took
share
it like
more.
a
Share
champ.
that.
share
No, I don't even remember. I just have this like history of like whenever I'm in an elevator, people were like, "Oh, you did something weird," and I'm like, "I'm sorry, I didn't think it was weird."
What'd you do? You just like sat down on the floor.
Yeah. I just started doing like a little seance, and he was like, "What?"
Yeah. It's you know what I've done that has creeped people out in elevators? I've done it to creep them out.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I do it. If you walk into an elevator and then just don't turn around,
Yeah.
it really
yeah.
freaks people out.
See, the thing is, like, in an elevator, people are more sensitive because you're in, like, a little box and
Yeah.
you're, like, about to die all the time because
Right.
it might just snap and you might fall and crash
Totally.
or lose a limb.
Yeah, it's totally like you're on the edge of death.
Yeah, so everybody's like, oh, no, what are you doing? Making eye contact. And it's like, you need to chill.
Yeah.
It is the collective thought everyone has when they walk to the elevator. With Trevor Noah, I do really like him. I think he inherited a very difficult position when he took over from Jon Stewart. You know, Comedy Central let John Oliver and Samantha Bee go, and I regularly watch their shows, Full Frontal and Last Week Tonight, respectfully. Those shows were only weekly, not daily. So I think, you know, The Daily Show, we're seeing a transformation in late night where the shows that are every night a week are really not struggling, but having a way more difficult time. The shows that air weekly have put in so much time and effort into creating these episodes that are so detailed and so original and so.
Look at Saturday Night Live, it's amazing.
Right, but more the talk show format, where Samantha Bee can send, you know, her people to Puerto Rico, to Texas.
Yeah.
John Oliver
Proper
could do these
reporting.
proper reporting.
Yeah.
So Trevor Noah, I don't watch him regularly, but I really do love the segments he does, and like he took over from Jon Stewart, which is not easy shoes to fill, and has, I think, successfully made it his own show. I think when I watch, I'm not, well, where's Jon Stewart? I'm like, oh, this is Trevor Noah doing The Daily Show. I think it's really talented with people who work there.
That's taken some time. When he first
Totally.
started out, I think he was trying to do it just as John did, and I think he's kind of leaned into his own brand, which has helped their ratings.
Yeah, I kind of wish, like, this, not just the reason why I wish Trump didn't win, but another reason why didn't want Trump to win is because it really would have given people like him a chance to do something really different, because he is international, comes from a really interesting perspective, but because the president is a crazy person and a racist and homophobic, but that you kind of always have to talk about him, and it's very centered on Trump all the time, especially when you're a Daily Show like that. So, you know, hopefully in the future he'll still be on, and we can see Trevor Noah doing what we see in his stand-up and his book, which is like this very interesting perspective that he brings coming from South Africa.
Yeah. Don't you find it frustrating? I feel like when Trump got elected, everyone was like, wow, as a comedian, you're really lucked out. You're so lucky. And I was like, that's not lucky at all. And it hasn't made our comedy better. I think it's made it worse. And it's so hard.
Yeah. I totally agree. I did a joke about that when he was first elected. I was like, no one was saying to the Jews in the 1940s, like, oh my God, Hitler is going to be great Jews. Like, no, it's like a mess. This isn't good at all. I don't want to have to talk about it all the time. It makes things awkward and uncomfortable. The climate is like horrible. People are responding to comedy so poorly. Some people are either so uncomfortable that they can't laugh at anything, or people are just like rebelling against the entire thing and doing jokes that are just so off color. I think the whole thing is, it's really fucked up.
Or just like Shannon said, like not funny. Like you get away with so much mediocrity now in comedy, while like if President Hillary Clinton were in office, there's like a normal presidency, like you have to be really clever with what you're making fun of and what you're attacking in the political system, like when President Obama was in office. So I actually think like it's also that too, like it's just, some people, Samantha Bee, John Oliver, there are great, Stephen Colbert, great comedians doing really smart things, but there's someone who's like, this is just the average Trump joke that we've heard 1,000 times.
It's exhausting.
Yeah, and it's exhausting, and it's not like...
If I go to a stand-up show, I don't want to hear Trump jokes. I want to hear unique perspectives and funny observations. Like, I'm so exhausted with the daily barrage of Trump. I don't want that in my entertainment.
I know. Yeah.
So it would be tough.
It's hard.
Yes.
Well, speaking of comedy, comedian SNL star Leslie Jones channeled all of our thoughts while watching the 2018 Best Picture winner, The Shape of Water. Jones, famous for her live tweeting, took to Twitter to document her inner monologue as she watched the film for the first time. Jones tweeted, "Is this a PG movie? Am I tripping? What I just saw her do in the bathtub? What the? And how are you gonna explain a fish man to your landlord?" This is so funny. If you guys don't follow Leslie Jones on Twitter, she is maybe the A+ expert Olympian live tweeter.
Yes.
She does everything. And this is so funny. Shape of Water, looking back at it, won Best Picture, but is an incredibly strange and weird movie. And seeing her responses to it, I think kind of brought up the feelings we all had when we first saw that movie.
Have you guys seen this movie? Clap if you have.
Shape of Water.
Okay. Did you guys think it was really weird? No. Yes?
It was so weird. I judge people who think it was not weird. I'm like really confused when people are like, it wasn't weird, it was beautiful. Like, no, it was weird. Like, that was really freaky what happened.
Oh, I know people who were like, oh, it was a beautiful love story and it got me emotional. I was like, were you watching her fuck the fish in the bathtub? What?
It was a beautiful love story. I just got weirded out with the eggs.
Why was
like hard-boiled egg, like peeling them and eating them and pulling them out of the water? It's like...
And Leslie Jones brought that up.
That's so funny because I haven't seen this film, and all I know is that I think it's about a woman who seduced a fish man with these hard-boiled eggs. And I'm like, is that what I need to do? Like, is that what I've been missing? Is I haven't been like... Ooh, here, I'm gonna dip it in some water now. Like,
that's a good point.
Wet, hard-boiled eggs, is that what we're doing now?
Well, people do dip their hard-boiled eggs in salt water. Shout out to Passover. But it is disgusting, pretty much. Like, the fish dude is disgusting. And also him in her apartment with all the water. Also, Leslie Jones, this was a year ago. Right. Why are you tweeting about it now? This could have been really timely, but we're still talking about it.
Yeah, she waited a long time. But yeah, the smells of the fish man and the hard-boiled egg, like just like literally combined.
Like all the
so
sulfur
gross.
combined.
It's tough. Although, guys, fun theory I've heard, I forget which friend told me this, so don't kill me. Some people thought that maybe she was also a fish because she had those scratches on her neck, which could have been like where her gills were, and she didn't speak, and they like were speaking kind of like telepathically. So somebody like did like a deep dive, and like maybe she was like reunited.
Well, that's how Leslie Jones interpreted it.
Yeah.
That she was also a fish lady.
Oh, okay.
I more so thought the fish man saved her life by making her a fish lady.
I don't think it matters if she's a fish lady or not. I think it's that they have a shared spirit. and that
Yeah.
whatever it is, they're one and the
connected.
same.
I think it's about being a silent person and discriminated against and finding love and companionship. I mean, Guillermo
The
del
fish
Toro.
man who's discriminated against.
Yeah, yes.
So people were mean to the fish man?
Very mean.
Oh yeah.
Oh, why?
Because
He's like a lab rat, basically.
yeah.
That's so rude.
And
They locked him in like a cage.
Oh, in that case, I'm so happy that he got sexed up.
Yeah, sexed up and
Yeah.
big, and we don't know how exactly it worked or where everything came
No,
out of.
we
but
know.
I don't know. I mean, like on the cover, he looks good. He looks ripped for a fish. You know, he has legs.
He is ripped for a fish.
Yeah.
He's not like a slim little fish. Like,
No.
he's a girthy
He's cut up.
fish.
He's got abs.
Yeah. Like, 2 more months and I might just fuck that guy.
Right.
I'll be the sequel.
Who played that guy?
I don't know.
I don't know, man.
Ryan Gosling?
Was that guy at the Oscars? Is it CGI?
I think it's Alexander Skarsgård.
no, part of it.
Oh my
is-
God, is that Alexander
No, it's
Skarsgård?
not.
Because then I'll be like,
Part of it, CJ, part of it though is Guillermo del Toro is really famous for his makeup and his like prosthetic use, and Pan's Labyrinth was really used with all the
Weird,
sort
yeah.
of. So it's not just like CGI; it's like a person in that suit or whatever. But yeah,
Leslie's observations were spot on, though. They're how I feel. Her comments are usually how I feel.
Totally.
Did you watch her watching Game of Thrones with like Seth Meyers?
oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So good.
Oh, it's so good. Like it's so quick.
she's
She's
great.
so funny.
She makes me want to like pick up my live tweeting game because like I used to love live tweeting, especially like either Real Housewives episodes or the State of the Union, so
Yeah.
one or the other. But
There's so much
Similar.
competition in live
Similar.
tweeting. Though. You guys
Yeah.
ever live tweet events?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
award shows.
Yeah.
Award shows. I do The Bachelor. I used to live tweet Scandal.
Right.
And you can get so much attention, but then you can also like fail so miserably.
Yeah.
I think
it's a high stakes
it's
game.
high
live
stakes.
tweeting.
Yeah.
live tweeting scripted shows is harder because this is all predetermined stuff. Like award shows or reality TV award shows, especially, like you're all watching it, not knowing what's happening next, kind of. And there's like it's more live viewing. People are watching it, so you can get more of that response of like, what the fuck was that? Like,
It's really a thrilling game, us millennials.
yeah,
Get ourselves involved in.
Fast-paced live
hobbies,
tweeting.
We're like, it's hard. Like, you don't know what's gonna happen. You could get a lot of attention, or you could get hurt out there.
Oh.
That is like verbatim what I just said. Thank you. You're making me more aware of my millennialness.
Oh. Well, moving on, a lucky hitchhiker was treated to the ride of a lifetime when he was picked up by none other than actor Chris Hemsworth. The Thor star happened to be heading to the same destination as the rider, but instead of driving him all the way there, he took a pit stop and flew him in a helicopter. Let's take a look.
Okay, so we've just landed in Brizzy. We've just seen a guy who's hitchhiking to Byron Bay. That's where we're going, isn't it,
Landed
Chris?
by him, we'll give him a lift.
Little does he know that we're getting a chopper. Here he is, guys. Here is the hitchhiker.
Where's he headed?
Who's talking? I'm Luke. Nice to meet you, mate.
Nice to meet you.
Welcome to Australia.
Just coming from Mexico right now.
Coming from Mexico, legend.
Headed to Byron now.
Well, we're going to Byron. That's where we live, bro.
That's
We're going, mate.
Let's go surfing.
Gonna chip into the gas, alright? It's $4,000.
Are you guys flying to Byron?
You're chopper in the Byron Bay, brother. Scotty, boy.
Standing on the runway.
Scotty, Gary. Scotty's it. It's his first time. He doesn't know. Chris, can you help him?
I'll help you these, mate.
Oh, there you go. There you go, mate.
Alright, Scotty, dream's over. Back to the normal hitchhiking.
Yes.
Combis and stuff, mate. You're on.
Thank you, man.
Packing your luggage, throw it in, mate.
Did you guys understand anything they were saying?
I was just about to say, it's remarkable that that's English.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
climbing on Brizzy Mountain, we loved it. I'm like, what?
Also, isn't it kind of like a porno? Is anyone else thinking like it could have gone a different direction? Like,
Exactly.
oh, let's pick up the
I'm in the process
hitchhiker.
because when you said that, I was like, yeah.
It kind of is a little bit, okay? Like they're like shoulder rubbing. There's like a lot of like hugging. I don't know. Okay, I'm sorry.
You
No,
pick up
yeah.
a stranger
No,
on the
it's cool.
street.
We know what
things
you
can
watch.
happen.
That shoulder rub was so extra and unnecessary. Like, I mean, stuttering right now because I'm thinking if he put his hands on me, I would die. I would jump out the helicopter. Like, I can't take this. You're too hot.
And adjusting his like mouthpiece on his
I know.
headphones. I was like, there you go, darling.
Very intimate.
Anyway, the guy, Chris Hemsworth not only posted this, but linked it to his Instagram. So this musician from Chicago now is relatively famous. I'm sure he gained a lot of followers and got a free helicopter ride
Wow.
to this beautiful place in Australia.
But didn't he not even really know it was Chris Hemsworth?
Yes.
Like, that's the best part.
And he was creeped out by them because they were filming it the whole time. He's like, what the hell is happening? Like,
Right.
am I
Yeah.
about to get kidnapped and killed? Or
was
in a
like,
porno.
this is a porno,
Or
yeah.
this is a porno.
I almost feel like it would have been better the other way around if the guy had filmed it, because Chris filming it and then posting it is very like self-congratulatory in a
Totally.
weird way.
Oh, yeah,
like, look
you're
what
right.
I did for this stranger.
not
This is
enough-
like the stranger
Totally.
recording.
It's not enough that he's Thor. Yes, like look at what I do to peasants. Like,
You're kind of right. I didn't think of it like that, and now I'm like, eh.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, I thought that too, but then I was like, you know what? He's hot. If he wants to put a video of himself doing a good deed, I don't care. I'll take it.
Is this really a super good deed? I mean, it's just kind of
I
convenient.
mean, he could have stopped and shot him in the face and been like, later, I'm rich and famous and white. Nothing's ever gonna happen to me.
True.
Like, honestly,
True.
when a white guy does something nice, I'm like, thank you. That's so crazy.
We clap. This is a
Like,
great.
oh my God, you didn't murder someone? You never know with them.
I'm sorry, I just had a visual of him stopping and shooting this
Yeah.
guy in the face.
No,
Being like,
I'm just saying.
actor Chris Hemsworth shot random hitchhiker.
That would be worse.
It could have been like a dangerous game thing. You could have started hunting the guy. Like Chris
Yeah.
Hemsworth could literally do whatever he wanted and get away with it.
Interesting.
I would not be surprised if he
It's an
brought the guy.
interesting
The second part of this video is they go to the island and they start hunting the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
No,
coming out
I
later.
heard the second part in your video, and it doesn't have to do with hunting.
Have you guys ever hitchhiked, by the way?
No.
I'd be petrified.
Oh my God.
You had to think about it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, and I'm like, I don't think so. I think my sister and I, when I was young, we like got a ride from someone, but it wasn't the same. It was like, it's not hitchhiking like on the highway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
You
don't.
can't hitchhike as a woman.
No, not safely.
You can't.
I agree.
What are we gonna do? What are you gonna hitchhike and die? And I can't do that.
Well,
Yeah.
I just think of like if you guys watch American Horror Story Apocalypse last episode when Kathy Bates picks up this poor girl.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
That was exactly what I was thinking.
And that's what I think about. Like, so they're gonna get picked up by a person who worships the devil. They're gonna take you back to their devil lair and just gonna kill you and worship the devil
And
with
it's
their dead body. That's
the-
what I think about.
The reason that scared me even more, the last episode of AHS,
Yeah.
regardless, you don't have to watch the show to get it, is that if you were getting picked up by a woman, as a woman, I would immediately feel a little more comfortable. I was
Right.
like, okay, my fellow lady got me, and then it wasn't that way, and I was like, oh, that's so deceptive because
Yeah.
you feel a little safer.
You get baited in by the women and then they take you somewhere creepy.
Oh God, those
Yeah.
devil worshippers, can't trust them.
Although, you know, if you were gonna get murdered by a hitchhiker, you would hope that it was like for a good reason, like Satanism, and not just like, I'm a random killer, LOL, I love killing, I'm Chris Hemsworth, I can do it because I'm cute. you
Right.
know?
Right.
Totally.
That's
It-
like she really had a mission. and
Yeah.
I respect that.
Like, I'm like, oh, okay, I get
Which
it.
celeb, like, is there a celebrity that you wish would pull up in a car and just like take you on a ride or?
Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Not me. I would choose almost anyone but him. Any sort of hot woman.
Jennifer Aniston.
No,
Jennifer
it-
Aniston.
Okay, here's the thing with that though. I wouldn't choose her because I don't want to be around someone that I'm like actually nervous and care about.
Okay.
It's kind of ideal that he had no idea who he was, and then after the fact can be like, wow, he's this huge movie star. I had no idea. That's perfect. If Oprah was driving by and was like, and you needed a ride and you got in, like you would also be freaked out, wouldn't you? You'd be nervous. You'd be worried about what you were gonna say.
Yeah, and that would be thrilling. And I don't
Right.
know why you wouldn't want that.
No, it's not that I wouldn't want it, but like, wouldn't you then just be like freaking out about like, what am I gonna say? What do I do? Like,
Wouldn't you want like Tiffany Haddish, who like picks you
don't
up
meet
and
your
just has
heroes. Don't meet your heroes.
No,
Really?
I want somebody like Jason Momoa on like a motorcycle, and he like hands me the hat, and I'm like, "Thanks, Jason." And we like ride off into like
Yeah.
Santa Fe sunshine.
Yeah, you would actually nail that situation.
I would nail that situation.
You would.
Yeah, in both terms, both senses.
I want like big black SUVs, and it's like the Obamas or the Clintons, and I just
the
get in the back.
Obamas.
Yeah, they just picked me up, and I just got in the back seat with them.
Of a limo.
Yeah, a limo, like a big black, Secret Service. That's what I want.
Fair.
Yeah, but what do you want? Keanu Reeves?
I'll take Keanu Reeves. Sure. I'm like, if any celebrity wants to pick me up, like, well, I'll do
Yeah,
whatever.
I'll take any ride,
I'll be
actually.
your assistant. I don't care. I don't know how to drive, so anything you can give me is great.
Yeah, I'll take any ride as long as the car doesn't smell. Doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
There's no
yeah.
hard-boiled eggs in the car. You're good.
I just hate how cars smell sometimes.
You know what? Once I have to admit, I did a rideshare once, and it was like in the morning, and I was rushing someplace, and I ate a hard-boiled egg,
Oh.
and my rating went down.
You should go to prison for that. You should go to prison for that.
Oh.
Well, moving on. Now it's time for today's guest, Kwame Alexander is a poet, educator, and New York Times bestselling author of 28 books, including his newest title, Swing, which follows the journey of two best friends, Noah and Walt, as they navigate high school, love, friendship, and sacrifice. Please help us welcome New York Times bestselling author, Kwame Alexander.
Nice to meet you. I'm Lucas. Very nice to meet you.
Hey.
You can walk out. Hello, Kwame.
Thanks for
Hey,
joining
how are you?
us.
How you doing?
Joining us. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
You have to ignore the smell of meatballs we've been enjoying.
I'm starving,
Yeah.
so I'm just in time.
There's a
Dig in.
fork, actually, if you want to dig in. First, hand me that book really quick.
Sure, sure.
How cool is this to see this book? Like, what has the journey been like to get here?
It's 28, book number 28.
Yeah.
So it's never, boring. It's always exciting. It feels like the first one. So
Does it?
yeah, it does.
It doesn't feel like 28.
No, it doesn't. But it's been a long journey. I'm a 28-year overnight success.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
Yeah, but I've really enjoyed it, and this is my most challenging book that I wrote, and probably my most favorite.
And why is it the most challenging?
I wrote it with a partner, Mary Rand Hess, and so we were in 2 different places, and so just the logistics of us writing together, but also the subject matter. Really wanting to write a book about love that had some social justice themes throughout it, especially with what we're dealing with right now. So it was kind of tough.
Yeah. And the one thing I love about the book is it's written in kind of poetry form,
Right.
which for me made it really easy and fun to read.
Exactly.
Because you feel like you're not biting off too much. You can really take
Right.
it piece at a piece. It goes pretty fast.
I've been writing poetry since I was 12 years old. It's how I learned how to write. My first poem was for my mother on Mother's Day. It went, Dear Mommy, I hate Mother's Day. Because in my heart, every day is Mother's Day, and I love you, dear Mommy.
Oh, wow.
That was horrible, but she loved it.
I'm impressed.
That is the first poem I wrote.
Right?
Yeah, that's got layers.
Yeah. So I've been writing since I was 12, and I love the immediacy of poetry. I love how it packs so much, power into a very few words. And it, like you said, it builds confidence in the reader. You get through this one poem, you finish the chapter, especially with kids who don't necessarily like to read.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and you are using poetry to empower young people. And so is that something you always set out to do, or did you just kind of fall into that because you were already doing poetry?
Yeah, I think sometimes the world is not such a beautiful place. And I think that poetry is a way for kids to find their voice, for them to lift their voice. I had a really cool teacher in college named Nikki Giovanni, and she's an activist poet, and she taught me a lot about sort of the responsibility that we have as writers to help kids imagine a better world. And that's what I love to do.
Wait, you really worked with Nikki Giovanni? Or
For 3
you just
years.
read? Oh, wow.
She was my professor.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was, at the time it wasn't so amazing because she was a hard teacher.
Yeah.
But we've become friends, and it's a 20-year friendship, and I've learned a great deal from her.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
So how would you say Swing compares to your other books?
Swing is probably the book that has the most interesting twist. Like it's about a 400-page book. The last 20 pages or so when you finish it, don't tell anyone. You're gonna wanna tell people, but don't. Okay. And so writing that twist was a risk because it sort of veers off, and a lot of people have said, well, man, the ending is so random, it's so just out of nowhere. And that's because life is out of nowhere. Life is random, and I wanted to sort of mirror that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Especially at this age of the characters, life is so sort of, you don't know what's going to happen.
Right,
So.
right. They're 17.
Yeah.
They're juniors. They're trying to be cool. I can relate to that. I didn't get cool till very recently. But in high school, I wanted to be that guy. And so I wanted to write about this character who's trying to find his place in the world, who's trying to find his cool, and what happens when he finds it and the world doesn't recognize it.
Yeah.
So your 28th book, what's the process of mapping out a book and especially doing that with another author?
You want all my trade secrets?
Yes.
Yes, please.
I think I saw you in an elevator earlier.
Today?
I got it.
You got it? Thank you.
I got it.
You were staring directly at it.
Yeah.
Weird.
You didn't
Yeah.
turn around. The
I
process.
don't remember the joke.
I usually, I wrote a few of my novels in a place you may be familiar with. It's called Panera Bread.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would go there every day and write for 5 hours after I took my kid to school. And essentially the first couple of hours is checking social media and procrastinating and listening to music.
Yeah.
And then eventually it sort of kicks in, dude, you gotta write. And you sit in that chair, I call it BIC, butt in chair. You gotta write. And so I sat there, and maybe after a couple hours, I would actually get into the writing of it. And really, it's just a matter of getting it out. Usually, the first draft is kind of whack. And eventually, you'll make it to the second and third draft, where you can really sort of finesse it and make it something that is meaningful, hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've won numerous awards, including, I'm going to say, 3 NAACP Image Award nominations and 2017 inaugural Pat Conroy Legacy Award. So you've been recognized a ton for your work.
Right.
When you set out to write a book, don't want to ask, do you set out to go win awards, but do you set out to kind of be recognized and to make a dent in our society, to do something that kind of it would be recognized by these organizations for?
You know, it's a good question. I mean, certainly we all want to be recognized. You know, who doesn't want to win an award? The motivation is really to write a good book. To write a good book that hopefully some young person is going to pick up and be impacted by in some meaningful way. That's exciting. Like, I really believe that I have a responsibility to help people imagine a better world. And I think through the pages of a book are the tools that you can do that. So that's where it comes from. The award's great. If I get them, you know, I'm happy. You know, my wife's happy, my kid's happy. But that's not really the motivation for why we do it.
Yeah.
And speaking of young people, you just announced a partnership with Follett, which is the largest provider of educational materials and technology solutions to pre-K through 12 for a literary campaign called All Books for All Kids.
Right.
Can you tell us about
That's
that?
a lot.
It's a lot.
Take a breath.
Mouthful. But I think it's really interesting for people to know, 'cause I think it's so cool.
Sure, Follett, here's how you all know Follett. You've been to a library.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never been. So in school,
Brittany's trying out jokes.
it's working.
He laughs.
In school libraries, Follett provides all the books to school libraries. They're the number one provider to books in school libraries, elementary, middle schools around the world.
Right.
And so I partnered with them to help them launch their Follett book fairs. They're going into schools, providing book fairs for kids, where kids can get access to books. They're not just random books, but books that are geared towards making kids engaged and excited and empowered around literature. And so I'm helping them curate books for their book fairs. It's an All Books for All Kids campaign because we believe that books are mirrors.
Yeah.
You see yourself in books, and books are windows. You see each other in books, and we become more human through the literature that we encounter. And so I want to help Follett with that initiative.
Totally.
That's so exciting.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Now, if I said more people read books, I think the world would be a
Yeah.
safer place.
Yeah.
Sure.
You remember how exciting used to be?
I was just gonna
Yes,
say-
when
the
book
book
fairs
fairs.
came.
Oh.
Like
The
I
book
haven't
fairs.
felt that excitement since I think middle, like
Yeah.
There would be, I would
elementary
have
school.
like butterflies
Right.
in my
yeah,
stomach.
so much fun having a book fair. Yeah.
It really is. You've also launched a campaign called Hug Life,
Right.
which is an initiative that works to empower people by starting conversations,
Right.
children. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so the main character in Swing, his name is Noah, and he has a best friend named Walt. Walt is all about saying yes to life. He's all about embracing what's possible in life. He thinks everything is great. He thinks every day is going to be a lovely day. He's one of those sort of positive thinking people. He's just like you. He's always smiling. And Noah is sort of skeptical. You know, he's like, I'm not sure that this life thing is so great. And simultaneously, he's been in love with the same girl for 7 years, and he hasn't been able to tell her. And so Walt's thing is, dude, hug life. You get one shot at this. You gotta let her know.
Yeah.
And so he lets her know through these variety of love poems, lips like yours ought to be worshipped. See, I ain't never been too religious, but you can baptize me anytime.
Yes, please.
That's
Right?
Yes.
So he's, but he leaves these poems anonymously. So the idea is, how do we sort of embrace life, especially when the world is not so beautiful? How do we become more connected with each other? How do we become more human and really make this world a better place? And I think it comes through hugging life.
Yeah.
I like
I
that.
think that's an amazing message. It's
I
a
think-
thing we should all be doing.
Totally. One librarian even got a Hug Life tattoo.
She did.
If I'm not mistaken.
Her name's Alex.
Look at that.
Yeah,
She hugged it right on her arm.
the real deal. And you know where that comes from, right? So Tupac. Tupac had a tattoo across his abdomen. Oh, okay, hold up. There you go. And it was Thug Life.
Right.
And so Walt in the novel Swing gets a tattoo, and Noah says, dude, if you were going for the Tupac look, you missed terribly. They left off the T. He's like, no, dude, I wanted that. I wanted Hug Life. And so it comes from Tupac just sort of flipping it around.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Love that.
I think it's like YOLO, you know, it's the same positive message I think we all should embrace. So thank you for putting it in a book. That's so fun to read. And thank you for joining us today, Kwame.
Thank y'all for having me. Appreciate it.
And make sure you check out Swing online and in stores now. We'll see you guys tomorrow, same time, same table. Bye.